Thank you very much for joining us on our final episode of our autumn lawn care series. This one is winding down your lawn. It goes in conjunction with a podcast that we've done not too long ago. So thank you very much for tuning in. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and let me know what you think below. Thanks for watching. So first of all then, how do you know that your lawn's coming sort of towards the end of its growing season? Quite simply, growth. Okay, so what I'll do is, around this sort of time when I know things are slowing down, just to double check, I'll go around with a tape measure, measuring a few different main areas across the lawn, 3 or 4 spots depending how big your garden is, and I'll just measure it. So for ourselves there, we're looking, it's about 60mm there, about 50mm, and you know, I would walk the rest of the garden. I've already done the back, so around the back it's sort of towards 50mm, down here towards the front it's about 60mm. So bear in mind we're cutting at 45, so you know, we're still getting somewhere between 5 and 15mm of growth across this lawn. So I'm probably in sort of my last cut, if not my last 2 cuts of the season. Bear in mind this has been sort of getting cut every sort of 10 days over the last few weeks. So I'm going to go through that now, keep the height at 45mm where I've been cutting at, and get the cut done. Now there is a couple of things you should know before you get into sort of actually cutting your grass first. One, it needs to be dry. Okay, around this time of year you need all the help you can get. You want as clean as cut as possible, so wait for a nice dry day like today, right, where it's just sort of, it's been really windy the last few days, it's really dried everything out, and we haven't had rain in the last 24 hours. Unbelievable, I know. So wait for it to be dry. If you're struggling with that, then at least knock the dew off in the morning, okay, and then cut later on in the day so it's got time to soak in and dry itself out. Secondly, leaves. But if you're unlucky enough to have like surrounded by a lot of deciduous trees that are dropping a lot of leaves at the minute, you don't want them lying on your lawn for too long. Okay, so there is certain times where you need to take action and move them leaves. Don't just mulch them into the ground. My advice, pick all your leaves up where you can if you're surrounded by them, stick them in a black bag, put some holes in the bottom, chuck it behind the shed, and it'll break down in about 12 months time and it'll actually make something called leaf mold. Right, this will break down into a lovely sort of nutritional property. Like I say, you can work it into your borders, things like that, and it's very rich, okay, so it's going to help out your plants and all the rest of it. So nice and dry, clean up your leaves and worm casts. So as we talked about before, with all the worm casts in the soil, you want to get rid of them. I know they're not nice. Look, there's people say that you can get sort of put a lot of iron sulfate down, that'll stop them coming, all the rest of it. Look, you need a hell of a lot, and putting that much down isn't going to be very good for your lawn. So just try and knock down the worm casts, sort of pick them up. I've seen people use hair clips. I've spoke about on my podcast about using like a bulldog clip, and then it's sort of trapped in the center of it. Knock it over with a blower. That's all I use. I just blow it out. Anything that's smudged in, I'll then lift the grass blades so that they then come back through the soil, just so they're not suppressed. They're the main things that you want to be doing before you turn around and start cutting your grass. Now let's get to it. Right then, so as you can see, just by pulling off the box there, we haven't got a shed load, but there's still quite enough in there for another cut. Also a bit of leaves, so it's picking up the debris as well, what, you know, really can't complain with. So happy with that amount, considering the lawn's only about 50 metres squared, you know, perfect. So personally, as I've mentioned in other videos, I haven't been using a roller mower simply because it's starting to make a mess on the lawn because it's just too heavy. So if you don't like the way it looks after you do a cut with a mower that's got 4 wheels, simply brushing your stripes. So I've done a whole video that I'm going to tag up in the corner here about doing this and the results you can find. But I'm just going to show you again just to see the difference. And just like that, we've been caught out by the light. Typical autumn winter. Okay, so finally, after you've done all that with your lawn and you've wound down your lawn, ready for sort of the end of autumn, winter, you've now got to look at your machines. Right, this is the main point here that do not forget. When it comes to storing away your machines, especially your mowers, your fuel equipment, make sure you drain that fuel. If it's not getting used over winter, drain the fuel. You can either do that by disconnecting the fuel line and emptying it out, reuse the fuel elsewhere, or you can simply just run it. So what I've been doing with my cylinder mower today is just letting it run in the background and let it run dry. You're not going to ruin your machines. Okay, you're doing this once a year. Secondly, if you're using battery equipment, i.e. so for example my strimmers, things like that, although my batteries will get used year round, so I wouldn't need to do this. If you're doing it with a battery mower, strimmer, whatever it might be, then just make sure that you hold the battery percentage at about 50%. You don't want to store it away with 100% battery. So whatever sort of stuff is behind this research, it just shows that by keeping it on optimum charge, yeah, the battery actually loses the ability to hold a full charge. Very minimal, but still. Leave it at 50% and it'll get through winter quite well. Charge it up before the next use and you'll be absolutely fine. Right, well thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this little series that we've done on autumn lawn care. If you've missed any of the other autumn lawn care videos, then please have a flick through and you can see them there. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining me. Going forward from here, you'll see a lot of videos through winter of other things, either planting bulbs or sort of cleanup jobs or hedging, different sort of gardening jobs. So keep an eye on the channel and we'll still be giving new content all the way through the winter until sort of springtime where we'll get back to the lawn care. Have a great year. Ta-ra.